welcome to this coaching video. I'm looking at a kingdom that was submitted by a student, and they were interested in the shepherd plus scheme combination. So that's what we're looking at here. Let's take a look at the big picture kingdom, and then we'll talk about some specifics. So I think the most important thing to note here is that there's a lot going on. So it needs some time to figure out what we're doing. So the only card that net draws you cards is Shepherd, so certainly we want to be playing with that. There is a lot of money around in terms of Fool's Gold, Market, Merchant Guild. We can also do a lot of gains with Swap. Swap seems very, very powerful in this kingdom, so I'm certainly going to be looking to play with Swap. Throne Room can be very powerful in some contexts, but it can be kind of difficult to set up. But maybe you want to top deck like a Throne Room Shepherd with Scheme. The biggest thing is that you can use Shepherd and Scheme and top deck a Shepherd every turn and set up your deck such that you trigger a shuffle and guarantee you have good draws with Shepherd every shuffle. So it's definitely something we're going to be looking to do. The other thing we can do is buy cheap actions, schemes, and so on, and then swap them into better actions later on. We can swap Shepherds out so we can buy extra Shepherds and stick them in the shuffle potentially, or have extra Shepherds in our shuffle and then swap them into good actions that we play that turn. Merchant Guilds, perhaps, Markets, Throne Rooms. I'm even considering Taxman. The coppers are pretty bad, and Fool's Gold is much better. Even if you can just Taxman a couple of coppers into Fool's Gold, I suspect we'll be able to draw our deck without too much effort on this kind of kingdom setup. Often with Shepherd Kingdoms, we're going to open something like Shepherd Silver. I'm pretty happy to open Shepherd Scheme and just start top decking the Shepherd immediately. After that, I think I do want to go for Taxman. Improve is another interesting card you can open. You can improve the Shepherd into something immediately. You can improve the improve into Shepherd and then buy a Merchant Guild Market swap. Probably you don't need swap immediately, but it feels like a pretty good card to add. So we're going to go ahead and open Shepherd Scheme. I think we're going to try to pick up like another scheme and a Taxman, start turning coppers into Fool's Golds to give us some payload, maybe get a couple of Markets, and then grab, at some point we grab a second Shepherd, a second scheme, a swap. And I think we're probably going to delay greening because, one, the estates are worth 2 points with your pastures around. And the other is that we can build pretty big and the Shepherd deck can absorb green. That being said, if our opponent just starts dumping in the estates, we just got to watch out that they're not getting too far ahead. So we can maybe do some Shepherd estate math, but essentially you want, roughly speaking, 2 more green cards than Shepherds, and it kind of depends on how the reshuffle gets triggered with Scheme. So we're gonna look to do this. Okay, this is actually like completely fine because our next turn is so strong. I'll grab the Taxman. Somewhat awkward reshuffle here. We hope to find the Scheme, which we do. Nice. So we can scheme the Shepherd. There's one estate in there, so I think I want to get a second Shepherd into this shuffle with all the green cards. And we take our Fool's Gold, and we end turn. Scheme. Okay, this is quite unlucky draw, I think. I'm not super worried about having gotten an unlucky draw here. That happens sometimes. Throne Room is interesting. I think third Shepherd is a bit much. I think Throne Room or another scheme. I think I'm going to take a Throne Room now and scheme the Shepherd because we have a bunch of green cards down there. We play the scheme first. We draw. Spin this into another Fool's Gold. With 3, we'll just pick up another scheme. Again, we top deck the Shepherd. We have a couple of green cards down here. I thought we did at least. Maybe we have triggered a bad shuffle. So this is me not paying attention to the kingdom construct. And I'll grab an improve. And we're kind of going slowly through here. Perhaps we need to add some more green cards to the deck is kind of the behavior that I'm seeing. We do get to the end of the shuffle here, and we hit some big number. So we hit 8. If we want to start taking provinces, we can. If we want to just take a market, we can. Maybe we want to get a market so we can start buying 2 things. That seems like the best card for the deck. And we'll top deck a Shepherd and sorry, we'll trash the improve. We'll trash the throne room. We only have this one terminal. Oh, we have the improve, so I think I want to keep the throne. We'll scheme a shepherd and a scheme. And we found 2 of the green cards, so that's a good amount of draw. Here we can throw in the market. We did not find the other green cards, but that's not the end of the world. Okay, so now we hit this big price point. We know we have some green cards down there. And I think we want to get ourselves another market. And maybe we do want to start adding in some more green cards so we can get an estate. We'll scheme like throne market shepherd. So we can start by throning the market for the village effect. That did not go well. But, you know, we play on. We'll grab a swap now. And I think another market. And I'm not quite ready to trash. So we got lucky by drawing that shepherd. And, you know, by this point we've got a ton of money. And I think we are ready to just start greening with the shepherds. I don't see any reason to do that. We can top deck a shepherd and a scheme. We'll start by throning the scheme. Find some green cards to draw. Okay, so this is a pretty good reshuffle here for us because all of our green cards are in there. But we do not have a shepherd in there. So I think we can probably turn this throne room into like a merchant guild now. Maybe just another market. And try to get a little bit of the way through this shuffle, which is 12. And we're going to top deck a shepherd here. Like throne room shepherd. So I'm going to take a bunch of green cards now. We'll take the throne, the market, and the shepherd. We did that as well last time. Throw in the market. We play all of our other draw cards first, and now we've got a bunch of green cards in here. Because the constraints of the deck, there's no easy copper trashing. We're not, you know, making super good use of the am I saying the tax ban? Because we don't have, and we're not able to consistently draw deck, but we can gain another province 1 of you, and we'll top deck the shepherd as well and hope to draw some green cards. Nothing to swap, unfortunately, because we do want to play this shepherd, but this is a pretty nice setup, and we'll go ahead and take another fool's gold. Just moving into the end game and grab another estate, and we can kind of afford to take a lot of green cards because we're able to top deck stuff with shepherd and scheme pretty reliably. I'll throw in the scheme here. There's some logic to throning a shepherd in various points, but again, we're just taking province estate, and we hit 54 points in 17 turns. I didn't play that perfectly well. I played it out pretty quickly. I think the overall plan worked out pretty well. The fool's gold stuff, the schemes. I probably needed another shepherd, and I also could have added green cards earlier. But that's the general point. So that's where we are now. Let me go back now and load up the original game as it was submitted. Load old game. Load from end. Okay, so let's take a look here at the original game as it was. So this is turn 24. The players are at 48 and 46 points. We see that neither of them went for fool's gold or tax bans. We can kind of go back and look and see what's going on here. Someone opened throne room scheme. Someone opened shepherd estate. So throne room scheme does not seem to do very much to me. Throne room is not a very good card to open in almost any circumstance. It's very difficult to find a circumstance where you would open a throne room. It's even harder to find than opening a village, because so rarely is the cheap card a card that you want one of. I think like improve scheme, shepherd scheme, taxman scheme are all better. Taxman scheme is kind of neat because you can maybe get a couple of fool's golds in the deck pretty quickly. So I think that's something to watch out for. Shepherd estate is also a pretty bad opening. It's just you don't do anything with those cards. You still only have 7 money in deck. So I think shepherd scheme makes sense to me. Taxman Scheme makes a little bit of sense. Shepherd Improve makes some sense to me. And then maybe you look to improve into a second Shepherd by a 4 or 5 cost that turn. Certainly you want to get some markets. We see 1 Fool's Gold has been gained, which is a very sad game state. And a bunch of golds, which again, I was able to do Fool's Gold stuff much faster than this. So, Throne Room Scheme, if you draw them both, it's great. But again, all they did is replace themselves. So like this shuffle, it's as if you did nothing. The other player buys a scheme. Throne Room Scheme again. Gain a silver. Top deck Throne Room Scheme. So I just feel like the Throne Room Scheme at this point have done nothing other than top deck themselves twice. So like it's as if you're giving up turns 1 and 2 in order to top deck Throne Room Scheme for turn 5, which I just don't think is worth it, especially because you're adding in silvers still and stuff. I'd much rather get the Shepherd. Market, certainly a good card. Throne Room Scheme, Shepherd, okay, all of a sudden you've hit a big price point. So this gold here, turn 5, should never be a gold. It should never be a gold. It should be a market. Market's the card you want to gain here. Actually, with this deck, Throne Room Scheme, Shepherd, I could also believe in Merchant Guild, because you may be doing things like play Merchant Guild by Shepherd Estate, and there's no other terminal in this deck. So the deck without a terminal may slightly prefer Merchant Guild to market, but I think draw is still so expensive in this kingdom that you want to take the market, and maybe add a Merchant Guild a little bit later. The swap, I think I overrated a little bit. I didn't end up using it to much effect. That it would have been easier if my swap was just a market when I played it through. The other player gains an estate. Again, this is not how you want to be playing. You want to build up your deck. As I was saying, you want to build up your deck. You want to add markets. You want to add shepherds, thrones, schemes. Then you want to start cramming in the green cards once you've got some deck control and you can reliably draw. Throne Room Scheme here. So this turn here, top decking the throne room. Top decking the Throne Room Scheme does not make any sense to me. What's the point of it? If all you're doing is top decking Throne Room Scheme, so I think you want to top deck Shepherd Scheme and buy a market, and then maybe hope to throne the market. This is also just too early of a throne room. I don't think you want a throne room until you have a second Shepherd typically, or a second Scheme. The cards are not so strong in these decks that you can easily throne something worthwhile. Throning a Scheme does not seem worthwhile if all you're doing is top decking. Throne Room Scheme again. We get a second gold. Like I think this is just another market for me. I don't really see the point of adding a gold there. The other player gets a Shepherd, which makes sense because they've added all these green cards. But so here we get a third gold even, and I just as you saw, I got 0 golds. Golds are stop cards. The Fool's Golds at least are replacing a copper, so they're I had to gain the Taxman, but otherwise my Fool's Golds were, functionally golds in many cases, and I did not have to add more stop cards to my deck. And the more stop cards your deck has, the harder it's going to be for your Shepherd to find draw. Market Shepherd Throne Room. This Throne Room feels quite early for that player as well, because they just don't have enough action density to easily, reliably throne useful targets. Turn 8, buys a province. Yes, I think this is the thing. If these 3 golds were 3 markets, or 2 markets in a Merchant Guild, or 2 markets in a throne, then all of a sudden you're able to buy something like Shepherd Estate. You're adding in draw, you're adding in shepherds. Here we're just buying a province on turn 8. And while it seems nice to have a province, if we notice, the game didn't end until turn 24. So just because you can buy a province on turn 8 doesn't mean you get to. But when you've added in 3 golds, that's kind of the path you put yourself in. What else are you going to do with 13 money? You can say, well, I got unlucky, I drew all my golds together. But yeah, if you drew all your markets together, you're very happy, right? If your markets distribute themselves throughout your shuffle, it's like, okay, I've got 8 and 2 buys. I can buy 2 4 costs. If you draw all 4 markets and 4, it's like, oh, I've got 10 and 4 buys. I can buy Shepherd and 3 estates or something and be really happy with my life. So the other player is able to throne a market and Shepherd. And at the end of this, so Scheme, throne market, Shepherd, play 5 coppers, buy 3 estates. Top deck a Shepherd. This is just too much green cards, not enough shepherds. This throne room's not going to work. I just don't trust this deck to work. But the other deck also has all the golds, so neither of the decks are really working. Throne a Scheme. Scheme a throne. Yeah. Play Scheme, draw throne. This is what I meant by action density. You're very sad. Play 3 coppers, gain a silver. I think that should have been an improve. There are no terminals in this deck, so improve is functionally exactly a silver. Yeah, if there's no terminals in the deck, improve is strictly equal to or better than silver. Plus, you have a throne, so you could throne the improve, and that gives you some endgame control even, because you could turn the throne or your shepherds into duchies in the last turn of the game. So that silver should definitely be an improve here. And in general, if you're only playing with 0 or 1 terminals, as we see, no terminals were bought. So if you're playing with 0 or 1 terminals, then absolutely this improve should be, the silver should be an improve every time for both players. And if you're playing with throne room, then improve is even better, because you can't throne a silver, but you can throne an improve. So here we see the other player draws very nicely, thrones market scheme. They hit what looks like 9, and they get shepherd duchy because they only had 1 buy. And I think estates have probably run at this point, which is why they're doing that. Yeah, I mean, you just have too many green cards and not. I mean, I really want to be getting a top decking a shepherd every turn when I've added this many green cards in. So I think getting the scheme stuff online first is better. The other player has drawn a throne. Again, a throne without. And you see, this is a silver, right? If this silver was an improve, you throne the improve, you hit 6, you hit 7, you buy a duchy, and then you could turn the improve into a shepherd, and the throne maybe into a market or something else, and you're pretty happy with the turn. Maybe you turn the throne into a duchy, depending on where you are in the game. You get 2 duchies that turn. The other player gets some nice draws. They're top decking stuff. They're discarding a bunch of things. They're drawing deck. They don't find. Okay, they gained 3 estates. They gained the last 3 estates, I'm guessing, at this point, in top deck a shepherd. Which, it's nice to top deck a shepherd. However, I believe. No, it looks like they discard all this stuff into the shuffle. So, the other player does not have any golds, as far as I can tell, but they seem to be ahead because they've got green card density and some shepherds. I still think it's possible they miss shepherd or scheme 1 turn, and then their whole shuffle is a complete wreck because of all the green cards. But so here we play shepherd. We discard green cards. Looks at a throne room. Okay, discard estate province. Draw 2 golds. Gain a province here. Again, if these 2 golds were merchants, we could be doing more stuff here. If these coppers were fool's golds, for example. Yeah, the other player happens to top deck. They top deck the shepherd and then draw 4 green cards with that. So they're gonna have a good turn. Although all they end up drawing with that is a market and 6 coppers, which again is we have all these coppers in a scheme deck. So that's sort of the pattern here. Gets a scheme in a throne room, which again I'd prefer to do that before you crammed all the estates into the deck. I'm also very worried about this player's next turn. Here we have shepherd throne. We have this sad throne. Again, if this silver wasn't improve, then this is a province hand. You throne the improve, you get a province, you turn the improve into shepherd or something. So I think both the silver and the golds here were mistakes. Scheme, shepherd 2 estates, throne, shepherd. So this, to me, this is a mistake here. It is a very, very subtle mistake, and it's possible that in the context of this kingdom, it's not a mistake. But you should always play throne room on shepherd and not throne room on throne room. We train people to play throne room on throne room, I think, because you can. But it's possible that you draw something off of the first shepherd that you want to play but not throne. Maybe you draw the other shepherd. So maybe you don't want to throne this shepherd. You want to throne the market that you draw along the way. But we don't get to know what the market that we draw along the way is. So I think that to me is an issue here. And if you have no terminals, then there is no reason to throne a throne room. That's the other thing. With King's Court, of course, you get a third triple. But with throne room, you get the same number of doubled actions. So I think this is a clear mistake here from this player. And I think we tell people why not throne a throne room, and the answer is Zwischenzug, I think is the German term for that, in between moves. Scheme market. Yes, we could have thrown this scheme or this market rather than this other shepherd, and this last shepherd play barely did anything. So again, we get to the end and we have 6 coppers because all the money in this player's deck is a market, and if we'd thrown the market, we could have bought a province. The other player has a kind of sad hand. They get a shepherd, top deck a scheme. Yeah, this is just they've added in too many stop cards to the deck. They haven't been able to reliably top deck a shepherd, and this is what we kind of expect. And and so on. We're gaining silvers, which again is a mistake. We hit 5. We're buying a market, top decking a scheme. We just keep top decking the scheme until we find a shepherd, which tells us we probably don't have enough shepherds in the deck at this point. The other player hits 3 and buys a throne room. What are we throning? I don't know. Throne rooms don't seem particularly good here. Get a market now. Again, if this silver wasn't improved, we could turn it into a shepherd here, which is a better card for the deck because this is 3 turns in a row we've played this scheme and not found a shepherd to top deck. Yeah, I mean, I think I've gone through the big stuff here. I don't know if there are any specific end game constraints that are interesting. Assuming on this last turn, the player drew 8 and just kind of hit a natural 8. So we'll close it out there and we can take a look. So the player that wins has 6 provinces and 3 estates. And the player that loses has 2 provinces and 11 estates. 11 estates here is worth 22 points. So 22 points from estates plus 12 from provinces is 34, versus 6 from provinces is 36 plus more from estates. So the big difference here, they both have the same number of duchies. This player has 8 more estates. This player has 4 more provinces. This deck is generally going to be smaller, right? Because it has 4 extra golds, I guess, so it's not smaller. But this deck is much more easily able to hit province. For this deck down here to hit province, you have to see the silver and all the coppers or the gold. And the pasture we never see because we're always discarding it to shepherds. I think most of these thrones could be... I think you probably only need 1 or 2 thrones. And these thrones might have been added a little bit too early. This player definitely needed more... The top player definitely needed more shepherds. Again, we've got 14 green cards, and the deck is, 30 cards? So over 30 cards, we're going to want, to have a couple of schemes, probably 2 schemes, 4 shepherds or something in a deck that size, rather than adding in the silvers and the golds. And honestly, if the turns we added silvers, we added improves every time, the deck would have done better, and those improves would have quickly been turned into shepherds, or... again, in the last turn, you can turn a shepherd into a duchy or something to win the split and get, buy a province, improve into duchy in the last turn. It's just a really tricky kingdom. I think the deck makeup caused it to be slower than it could have been, and I certainly in my playthrough didn't play it optimally, but I was, 7 turns or something faster to similar VP totals. I didn't end up needing to touch the duchies, but these players didn't hit 8 reliably, so they wanted to score points when they could. So hopefully people get something out of that analysis and understanding sort of the characteristics of a shepherd scheme kingdom are pretty complicated. And because there's no copper thinning, we're not really able to do the thing where we trigger a bad shuffle with only green cards and top deck a shepherd into it. At least I wasn't able to. I think if you built a little bit longer, added more shepherds, you could accomplish that. But the game just ended very quickly once I started drawing much of my deck and buying, double province kind of turns with all the fool's golds. I don't know that you need the fool's golds here, but to me at least it sped me up quite a bit. And also the attack is not nothing in a kingdom where you're not really hitting price points early on. Having to discard those coppers really does prevent you from hitting gold on turns you wanted to, or hitting 5, you end up hitting 4, or, instead of hitting 6, you hit 5. So that's at least worth noting. And I think also your deck stays thin because you don't have to add the golds separately. You just turn, 4 or 5 coppers into fool's golds. And if you can get 2 or 3, if you get 3 fool's golds in play, you can hit province reliably. Hopefully the player who submitted this gets some value out of it. And please let me know if you have any questions on how to play this or other Dominion Kingdoms you'd like me to analyze at this level of depth.